they're gonna have to pay a problem in the cabinet, they pick up the issue.
All right, good afternoon. Call this meeting to order. It's our 4:30 Community Redevelopment Agency meeting. At this time, let's please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Can I entertain a motion to approve today's agenda?
I make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second. All right. Got a motion by Mr. Berry, second by Mr. Mead. Any comments? Motion.
Hold on just a second.
Yes, ma'am.
There it is. Yes, Mr. Barry, is it?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm busy. Thank you.
All right, it passes unanimously 4-0. All right, entertaining a motion for the approval of the minutes.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Mead.
Second.
All right, thank you, Mr. Smith. Got a motion by Mr. Mead and a second by Mr. Smith. Any further comments?
Yes, sir.
All right. All right, passes unanimously. Public comments. Public. Thank you, public. All right. Seeing none. Action, direction, discussion, CRA annual report, quarterly updates, and SEPTED presentation. Mr. Fazzetti, thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, that's fine. Thanks. As you probably know, each March we do an annual report update. One of the kind of requirements in statute is to provide a summary of the prior year's activities to the board. Over the last year or so, we've had pretty regular meetings, quarterly meetings, giving updates. So I don't expect probably anything in this presentation to probably be news to you all, but we do have a presentation here. Hopefully, as soon as it comes on there. In the meantime, Ms. Elisa Burleson, unfortunately, was supposed to be here tonight and had something planned, unforeseen, come up that she was unable to attend. So in her absence, I will be doing the presentation over this. There we go. Okay, so we'll get into it here. I'm just going to dive right into it and really just present a overview of what we've been working on over this last year, and then kind of transition into what we're still working on. That a lot of it began in the last year and is still ongoing now. So the first topic we're going to go over is SEPTED and kind of the community policing side. And over the last year, some of the items that we've accomplished or covered is that, for one, Elisa went through the Florida Crime Prevention Training Institute and received her certification, SEPTED certification, to be a SEPTED practitioner, which allows her, kind of per statute, to be able to do some of these SEPTED assessments for property site assessments. And then we've also established some of the SEPTED zones, as well as a task force made up of members of the community to discuss, identify some areas that need some targeted SEPTED improvements done. We have the funding that's put in place in the budget this current fiscal year for a lot of projects, and we completed some projects at the Gulfview as well as 115th Church Street, which is behind ADSO, some fencing, some cameras, some general improvements there. I'll go over some of the other SEPTED items that we've done also, we're still working on as well later in the presentation, but they're kind of a summary overview of just the initial SEPTED items that we started working on over this past year. Some of the improvement or restoration projects here that we did, I'm sure everyone's familiar with the parking lot improvements downtown. That was a great outcome, something we were talking about for the last few years between the city's own public parking as well as the leased property that's adjacent, connected together to it. That project did finish this year. We also had the Blue Water Zoo demolition that was funded through the CRA. There's also other funding for that project that I'm sure everyone's seen under construction here recently. One of the smaller but exciting projects we were happy with was the CRA street sign improvements. This is a project that was done in phases. We started it last year doing some of the decorative street signs along the main corridors here on Mercosur Parkway as well as Beale Parkway. Just recently here, over the last month or two, we had ordered the rest of the materials several months back. There were some delays on receiving those, but they came in here in the last month or two, and with the great help of our facilities maintenance division, Jerry and Alan and his team, we were able to get the rest of the street signs just finished being installed here in the last few weeks. So we're excited to have those new signs throughout the CRA. We do have some plans and kind of bringing up as well in the presentation here about possibly, we've had a lot of people, I said a lot, some people interested in if they could buy or get a hold of the old street signs, because they like to display and put them up there. So we're actually looking at a way that maybe we can kind of sell them off and do a little bit of kind of fundraising to put towards Sound Park and some of the improvements that we're working on over there for the septet improvement. So something that really is just kind of starting in process right now that we're looking at. The other last and biggest project that kicked off last year was the first phase of the landing park improvements. That's well underway now and moving forward. One of the core activities that Elisa also put together last year was a grant and small business workshop. This is something she worked with a couple of organizations in the area as well as the state Division of Arts and Culture, and she brought together, and it was sponsored Cadence Bank helping as well as a few others, and it was a community workshop that was we had 30 attendees from a whole bunch of different companies to learn about some of the grants and opportunities for small businesses, as well as kind of the arts and culture side of it with the Cultural Arts League, bringing them together to look at some of the opportunities they had to fund program starts and help support their businesses as well in the city. And that was something that was pulled together and went through last year. Grants and incentives, we've had these programs going for a lot of years. They've evolved, they've changed over time. But over the last year, we had almost $45,000 in grant funding administered out for these various projects, and some of the pictures you see there. We've had some good redevelopment, smaller scale projects that have been able to take place with the grants. We still have a lot more than this that are in progress. We've got probably another half a dozen or so that have actually been approved for grant funding, but they're just working through their project because they get reimbursed a reimbursement grant. Once the project is complete, they can submit copies of all their paid invoices and cancel checks and payments to get reimbursed. So these are the ones that have been completed and reimbursed out for that dollar amount, but there's more on the way that we're really waiting on the applicants to just finish their projects out and move forward. So we're hopeful that those will all be finished here within this next 6 months or so. There's a lot on here, so I'm not going to go through all of it, but then going through some of those updates, these are activities across the board that we worked on in 2023 and are still kind of working through. The first is the Ferry property fence wrap. This was the old former Landmark Center property, vacant lot. We've been working for the last few months. Working with the property owners, got permission to do a decorative fence wrap on that property, help conceal some of the vacant unsightliness of it. As well as, it's right at the entrance coming across the bridge into downtown, and trying to get a really nice wrap on there that's going to show renderings of all the great projects that we've got underway, like planning and museum edition and so on, and kind of advertise, market, hey, this is, good things are on the way, big things are on the way for the city when you get right into downtown. So that hopefully should be installed next week. We have a information kiosk at the library. It was just installed actually a couple days ago, and again, our facilities maintenance division helped with that, running the power out there and getting it installed, doing some concrete work to get it anchored down. It's there. We've been working and waiting on the county to find out if we can connect to their Wi-Fi. We have an arrangement for the library that we actually are on the county's Wi-Fi there. So we're trying to work with them, see if we can jump on that Wi-Fi. If not, there's a cellular option that we can actually hook up the tower through cell signals. So just got installed here in the last few days. We just got notice of it today that it was actually installed, and so we're hoping to have that up and running soon. Basically, what it'll be is it'll be a big screen on the front side of it, kind of facing 98. That people as they're walking by, they'll see the screen and it'll have information about upcoming community events. that'll be kind of cycling through. It'll have a map of downtown. It'll just kind of be on a cycle. They'll be able to see, hey, here's upcoming events, nice big color screen. Makiko is going to be responsible for helping keep that updated. She helps on the website. And then on the backside, it's going to have some kind of some graphics on it with another map, just a static map downtown, highlighting some of the different locations and amenities. It's the first one we did at the library on city property there, but we're hoping if it gets good reception and successful, maybe something that we can place a few of them around the CRA at different locations to help point people in the direction of, hey, here's events, here's locations, here's where we're at, here's other parks and things that you may want to visit in the CRA or in the city. So had that first one. I already mentioned street signs, I won't cover that again. The mural, this is the library mural. So we had a brief kind of presentation of that back in January during the city council meeting. We are preparing an agenda item to bring that in front of the city council at the upcoming March 26th meeting for approval. So we did receive back a full quote and a full kind of rendering of it. And so we're preparing that together now, hoping that between the park improvements there that we're working on now and getting ready to get going soon here, with that mural will all be coming together by this summer. So we're really excited for that. And then lastly, the CRA/PD golf cart that we showed off and purchased there for these community events and being able to be present down there during all these activities. We have it. We were going to get some lights and logos being installed on it. There was also a delay on getting lights on that, but they did just we did just get the quotes and all of that through purchasing our fleet division recently, just in the last week. So we are trying to get that just wrapped up and marked done on the list because we've got it, but we've just been waiting on those light systems and all. So got that. Digging into some of the septet projects that we've worked underway on, Sound Park, I know that's been a big topic from a prior CRA board meeting. Following that last CRA board meeting, when Lisa went through all the septet activities, she did analysis there. She worked with the police department as well to get some of the data and some assistance with that. And since then, she's been working with our facilities maintenance division and Tiffany in the Parks and Rec department to look at identifying some of the repairs needed at the gazebo. I'm sure people have seen it's kind of temporarily been braced up there, partially under, say, reconstruction almost. Between facilities and actually our building official here inspected it as well and kind of made a determination that, yeah, it can definitely need some work, but can be saved, can be improved. We're working right now through our requisite purchase order process to get all the materials needed to continue renovating the gazebo. We've also, Lisa did the lighting analysis out there, and we're right now this week in process of picking up the new lighting that's septet compliant, making sure it's friendly for habitat and everything along the water as well.
Chris,
So,
real quick,
yes.
just to stir a question.
Yes.
Are we going to match the South Park lighting with the landing lighting, the same poles and everything, so it's uniform?
I was actually going to ask Lisa that today. We haven't, the initial lighting that she got a quote on is similar to what's been out there originally, those white ones.
Okay.
But she wound up having to, she was only here for a short time, so we're going to have to leave, so I didn't have a chance to ask her if we want to match the landing or not.
They've got the specs on it,
Yes.
so that probably is a
So,
good idea.
I was thinking that same thing earlier, but we just haven't locked it in yet, but I was thinking that too. So, yep, and then Lisa's been working with the Keep What Was Beautiful organization on some landscaping there. So we're hoping to have some nice stuff pulled in there as well. For Sound Park, all of it's in purchase process right now, so we're hoping, probably in the next few months, it'll really start coming back together. Harbison Avenue and then Carson Drive, those are two in the septet zones. On Harbison, the lighting, we've just been waiting on FPL to make the lighting upgrades there, and they're telling us right now it's going to happen in April. And then for some of the foliage or some of the areas that are kind of being blocked for visibility, we're going to get the lighting in and then be able to do the lighting assessment and see which areas specifically of branches and things need to be trimmed back once the lighting is in place. So we're hoping that will happen come April and then just after that. And on Carson Drive, FPL, we did get the lighting upgrades on Carson. We've also, there were some bush and dead trees, some vegetation within the right-of-way on the city side near the end of the cul-de-sac that we were able to work with some of our parks crews. They got it cleaned up, but a lot better down there. So we've got those improvements going as well. A few things lastly. The multifamily housing, that is with SEPTED. There's an item on the City Council's agenda later regarding a comprehensive fee schedule amendment, and it has to do with Florida statute that encourages the owners or principal operators of multifamily residential properties to obtain a SEPTED site analysis. And if they do, they can actually potentially be held from liability against injuries or things that happen to people, third parties on their property. As part of that, Elisa and I have worked on developing a letter to inform owners, operators of these multifamily housing properties in the city that, hey, this statute's here, it's not mandatory, it is a voluntary item that was added last year in the Florida statute. So we just want to help educate and inform the public of this going on. And that's a letter that we're drafting up, but we're kind of looking to see where the fee goes, before we send out that letter. We also started our quarterly stakeholder meetings. These are community meetings this year, something we discussed about trying to get some better feedback or more feedback from the community, from our business and property owners within the CRA. We had the first quarterly meeting in January. It was held at the Gulfview downtown. Our plan is going forward to have each of these, any of these quarterly community meetings or stakeholder meetings be held at the Gulfview. And at that meeting, we had 13 people. We had some information sheets, and we spoke to a lot of the individuals after when the meeting ended, actually, and got a lot of one-on-one feedback. We just wanted to show some of the issues that were actually written down during or after that meeting. Discussing some of the lighting and walkability down Shell. There were some comments about just the narrowness of sidewalks from Presidio heading east towards downtown. Since then, we've worked with some of the other city departments to look at removing some of the vegetation overgrowth and cleaning up some of the area closer to just between Presidio and Sound Park. It was kind of overgrown there. It's a narrow sidewalk almost up against the highway, and then with the vegetation, it felt even narrower. So people just, some of the feedback we received was, hey, just don't feel. I like to walk to the shack or somewhere else towards downtown, and I don't feel safe walking around up against the traffic there. So we've tried to already remove some of that vegetation. They also asked about railing. I worked with, reached out, talked to Daniel some about it, but unfortunately with DOT's requirements for the kind of clear safety zones for vehicular traffic, we wouldn't be able to put a railing right there that close to 98, but that's why we went into some of the vegetation and other changes that we could do that were quick to help at least initially on that. There was even feedback received there about pedestrian bridge. Maybe we should have a pedestrian bridge somewhere in this general area because of the activity of hotels, restaurants, things like that. And then some additional overgrown vegetation along Brook Street that we've been addressing since then. And then lastly, the next quarterly community meeting for the CRA community will be April 16th, and we're going to be talking about some traffic calming in the Carson Drive area. We've had some input and some feedback also from our police department about some speeding and issues down on Carson there near the south end of it. So we're going to be bringing up that topic for discussion at the next CRA community meeting, just to see what people's thoughts are and see where we want to go forward with that, as well as working with the PD on that. So with that, that's the end of my presentation. I tried to run through it fairly quickly, I know there, but a lot of the stuff, like I said, has been talked about in the previous meeting. So we did just want to highlight, summarize what we've been working on and what we're doing.
Thanks, Chris.
Thank you.
All right, any questions? Mr. Ray?
I have a comment.
Yes.
Thank you for sending out letters to the public.
Yes.
Educating is so important,
Yes.
rather than getting us bombarded saying,
Yes.
You know.
Yes, ma'am. Thanks. I meant to include that earlier prior to the stakeholder meeting because we did send out a letter earlier, about 3 months ago now, to about 1,700 letters
Yes.
went out
Thank you.
that are advertising, informing the public on the CRA, as well as it also included a little insert with just the dates of our community meetings. I'll spread the word on them too.
Mr. Othergood?
I know this may be a bigger issue than just what I'm making it out to be in my head, so that's why I'm asking the question. 2 slides back, when you were referring to the gazebo and the work that's being done to repair it,
Yes.
you mentioned that we're waiting for supplies and you're working with the purchasing department. I think to a lot of people that would would hear that statement, it seems like, well, there's at least 3 lumber stores in town, and somebody has to have a credit card.
Yes.
Like, is it specific pieces of a gazebo that you're waiting on that are already pre-manufactured, or is it the purchasing process that the city has to go through to obtain those materials?
Sure. Really, I was referencing the purchasing process. So what we've done, and a lot of the material we do get a lot from like Gatlin lumber, some Lowe's as well, some online vendors. What we've ordered actually just approved a purchase requisition earlier that we put in the system today for some of the hardware, actually, some of the mounting brackets for the post, literally nail screws, that type of material that, depending on the dollar amount, we put it through a purchase order, purchase requisition, and then purchase order process to be able to go. Some of this will order online, but if it's smaller amounts, our facilities guys will a lot of times just go to Gatlin or Lowe's and pick it up.
That's kind of my question is, if you needed $350 worth of wood and screws, there's a process where you guys can go down and just go get that stuff and get it done.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is.
I'm asking because if it's a policy that we need to change or something that needs to be looked at, to speed up the efficiency of the whole process, then that's something that we can do to help out. But if it's not, and it's a specific bracket or pre-manufactured whatever, then I totally understand that. And I'm certainly not putting any pressure on you to fix the gazebo as quickly as possible.
Sure.
But I'm just asking for the inefficiency.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it for sure. I mean, happy to always look at it with Jeff and with the facilities guys under Daniel and all, see if there's anything that can be changed there. This is a combination of purchases from different places. The purchase requisition that I approved earlier was about $800 worth of material there. That's usually within a couple of days for that, because of that threshold is usually approved within a couple of days. It was an online order, so that should be here. I imagine by next week. Those materials and. But for the smaller stuff that comes up, a lot of times, they're going straight to the store, just picking up with the credit card authorization through finance.
Good deal. Thank you.
My wife used to work for the city at the Parks and Rec, and that was the only complaint I ever remember was just, because she wasn't used to being in a government organization where you do need to submit requests for funding, and it was if it was some balloons for a party, it would still go through a procedure. And it was never a negative complaint, but it was just one that she had to get used to because of checks and balances and being in the public. It is a process.
Yes. Yeah, we can't just go down there to the store and pick up something without telling anybody. Nicole gets.
But for example, if there were an emergency and you needed to go get something.
Yes.
Apparently balloons were not emergency. But she still to this day enjoys her time with the city, so it's not a complaint. It was a good time. Okay, can I ask a couple questions?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Well, I think last time we met, we discussed maybe exploring adding more lighting in the parks. I know the sun's staying up longer nowadays, but have y'all looked into that? Ferry Park, for example, the walking trails, it's mighty dark back there.
Sure. So we have not at Ferry Park. Ferry Park's actually unfortunately outside the CRA, so we wouldn't be able to do it for the CRA side over there. Outside of the CRA, we could look at it's as far as SEPTED's concerned. So basically, Lisa can't do it, so we'd have to find somebody else at the city that could do for Ferry Park. Really, we're limited to the Landing, Sound Park, Chester Pruitt, a few small kind of neighborhood parks in the CRA.
Are you talking about the trail?
Yeah,
itself?
just we're in the public, so I think I can ask you a question outside the CRA, and that's really the question. We discussed, the cameras and the lighting in certain areas, but I was just curious if that's.
I will say we've made a list of it, and I was talking to Chief Page even just a couple weeks ago, because for SEPTED analysis, the only individuals that can do the formal analysis are either a certified SEPTED practitioner or law enforcement. So he's had some ideas, potentially, I think, maybe for some of the non-sworn positions over there, maybe something that they can pick up on, help them do SEPTED analysis, for that. It's all crime prevention, so.
Couldn't she can't do it outside the CRA?
She can't. So she's paid 100% through the CRA budget fund. I mean, if there was basically, kind of like CRA police officers, that we don't fund 100% of the officer out of CRA because we know that there's situations that they're going to go outside the CRA and work. You know, if there was something that was put in place for her to have some type of funding outside the CRA, then she could. But the fact that she's 100% paid out of CRA, she only sticks to those
So
boundaries.
it would need to be could it be on a contract type basis?
It
with the
could. I mean, it could be like
general fund?
a
Okay.
specific number of hours, something that's,
Sure.
you know, I mean, through our time clock system, I mean, you could log hours and things like that we could look at that for sure. Because she's brought up with me that honestly, I think she would love to be able to do it, you know, an hour contract basis, something just outside the CRA to be able to do it citywide. But
We can also too, we can look at dark areas and if there's other lighting poles needed. A lot of the problems with Ferry Park, for example, each light pole has a number on it, if like F25 or something. And if they come on at night, you know, and the public's out there walking, they'll just call or email somebody, let us know, hey, this pole number's out. We'll get it fixed sometime. We won't see it during the day because they're not on. So, but if there's some dark areas, once all the lights are repaired, we know what we can install some more lights.
I've noticed it walking at night, so.
That their lights out or dark?
No, just dark areas. Dark areas in between.
The lights
Some of
are
the trees.
Yeah,
The-
the lights are
My daughter was quite alarmed one time when we came upon somebody's bench and didn't realize they were there. And that was the end of our walk.
Well, a lot of those too are, you know, and you'll notice some of the street lights that have been replaced with LED, how much brighter they are. And that may be something we definitely can do over there at Ferry Park.
So I know, not to address the outside CRA, but within the CRA, we've actually developed a list of all the city properties in the CRA to do the analysis of. We started with Sound Park, but our plan is to go city property by city property within the CRA as well to do the analysis and see what upgrades are needed. You know, Lisa and I working together kind of felt like, well, if we're encouraging, incentivizing the public to do this, we should probably hold their own properties up to the same standard. So we're trying to do that in the CRA, but yeah, looking at ways outside the CRA.
Mr. Smith?
Follow-up question. Just out of curiosity, because this is the biggest frustration I have is the inefficiencies and the way the government is. So obviously we're saying that she can't devote any time out of it because she is paid out of the CRA, but ultimately what we're talking about is we have vendors that are going out and actually doing these analysis. She can't do a lighting plan. She can't do, I mean, she's...
So she does the septic assessment on the property, and then the lighting analysis actually, depending on where, if it's just a private vendor, you know, a lot of times they can provide that service. FPL will provide that service if it's street lighting, but she actually we've got a lighting measurement device, so she actually takes the lighting readings at different distances from from lights to on out down these streets and all over the parks, and she's
doing the lighting plans.
She's doing the lighting analysis, and yes, so she actually is as part of her septic analysis for Sound Park and those. So for the actual design of it, it's coming to a third-party vendor. Yes, so she's doing the analysis of where the dead zones are, basically.
All I'm suggesting is we pay her as a contractor out of the general fund and let her do the analysis.
And all I'm suggesting is if we're getting a contract to come over and look at Soundside Park, can we ask the contractor to go look at Ferry Park, and she doesn't dedicate any time, effort, or anything into it. They go look at Ferry Park. If we want that plan to go to the chief beige, then we can do that.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it just seems like there's 12 steps to do something that can take a step and a half.
Yeah, I mean, we can definitely check it and say, how it's working now is Elisa is actually going out at Photo Shark and doing the lighting assessment of the properties. If there's new lighting needed, then we're working with the vendor to basically see what options they have to upgrade and purchase.
And will FPL do these lighting plans for us free of charge?
I believe so. That's
So
what I'm saying. Yep.
I would venture to almost say, why do we have her doing it when we can just say, hey, FPL, can you go these 5 locations and give us a lighting plan? Because they'll go out there and they'll tell you how many candle power you're looking at now, and then they'll give you options of, hey, where do you want to get it to? And then Alicia can say, hey, SEPTED requires 48 candle power. So at that point in time, we know exactly what fixtures we need to get 48 candle power everywhere we go, and we can kind of knock it all out at once instead of kind of...
All the lighting companies will do that.
Yeah.
Like the pickleball courts we're doing at Ferry, we're going to go with a solar. They have a court light, solar court lights we're gonna do, but the company you buy them from, you tell them what the length and width is of the court and the distance between, and they say, hey, you need poles here, 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 and here's how many fixtures you need.
Yeah, no, that's a great idea. So, yeah, I'm sure she'll watch the video, but I'll pass it
Yeah,
along to her too.
and again, the only reason I say that is I believe in our last meeting, you know, I mean, I thought this was, Southside Park is something we were gonna probably see in 2 to 4 weeks, and here we are 3 months down the road, and I don't know where we are. I haven't seen anything. I don't, you know, I mean, I see the bullet points up there,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, I understand, yeah, for sure. Yeah,
it still leaves a lot of questions
For
for
sure.
me. And I think it echoes what Mr. Allegretto said, like, what do we got to do to get the ball rolling and get some of this stuff done?
for sure, yeah. Like I said, everything, minus the actual fixtures themselves, the lights themselves, everything has been, is being put in order, just in the last week here. So, we're waiting on all the material and the lighting. There was a fixture that Lisa did just get the copy of. We were waiting on the vendor to provide us the cost and the information on those, but we did just get those yesterday. But then I did have the question about whether they were going to match the ones at the landing.
There's about 5, we've got about 5 or 6 up already at the landing, the new poles with the light fixtures on. The boardwalk's done about halfway through. They're pouring the seawall concrete, and the seagrass installation's going on now. There's a huge group of kids out there playing those today on the water. So, but yeah, some of those light poles, if you happen to drive by, some of those are going up now.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'll get
So
one.
what would be a good ETA of lit up sound park?
I'm gonna say right now, probably the end of April. That's, we haven't ordered the lights yet, and that's gonna be the biggest question mark. How long it takes to receive them, because it seems like it takes longer than we hope for everything that we order. But we should have those hopefully being ordered within the next week here, just to lock down based on vendor purchase process. Like we talked about, they should be on order here by next week, and then as quick as they can get them in. We work with facilities maintenance to get them installed.
Does that install include cameras?
I know she's talked about them. I apologize because I didn't get to talk to her about that specifically
Okay.
before she left this morning.
I'd have to go back
Yeah.
and
I know
watch
we were talking about it, but
There
that was
was
a discussion item at the last CR I know for sure.
Yeah.
I know she's been talking to a couple of the officers over in PD as well,
Okay.
connecting with fuses and all that system. So
Okay.
I know that's all been in the works, but I did not unfortunately ask her about it specifically.
All right, Mr. Allegretto.
I would just want to follow up on that. I think that, at the last meeting that we did have, speaking with Ms. Burleson, that, it seemed like we had a pretty strong consensus toward lighting and camera
Yes.
upgrades in CRA areas, specifically city-owned CRA areas, parks, et cetera, as we've been on this crusade against vagrancy here in the city and trying to do everything we can. And I think that any updates really need to involve cameras and lighting. So if that's not a part of it, then I think, I don't speak for everyone, but I'm really encouraging that to be part of it,
Absolutely.
one way or the other.
Yes.
I wanted to also add to the previous conversation from what Mr. Smith was saying, and Mr. Mead, that I think where we're at too is we see, we authorized hiring Ms. Burleson 2 years ago or so. I think that's been one of the most fantastic hires the city's made in a long time. She is really doing a great job, and obviously this whole SEPTED thing, as I said at the previous meeting, I laugh at this name, but the meat of it is fantastic. And the pictures seeing before and after. Here's where, vagrants were camping out and leaving trash everywhere. Here's a nice fenced area now. Here's where they were leaving their stuff. Here's a bunch of cameras now, and they don't come here anymore. Like, these are really tangible items. And when we see that kind of stuff, we want that action everywhere throughout the city. And whatever we have to do to have someone else SEPTED certified that could handle our other parks specifically, or our other common areas that are owned by the city and its residents, it'd be fantastic to expand that program throughout. Now, I know that the funding is going to be whatever, but even if we had some police officers or code enforcement officers or whomever it was that could conduct those same surveys throughout the rest of the city. I mean, obviously Ms. Burleson could assist in training and doing all those other things, but I think what we're saying, or at least what I'm saying and trying to interpret from everyone else is, we love what she's doing. We love this SEPTED program. It's very, very valuable, and we'd like to see it extended throughout the city, one way or the other.
Yeah, no, thank you for the feedback, absolutely.
Yeah.
And to piggyback off that, just to kind of get in a workflow conversation, not too much in the weeds or whatever, but why those programs are run, I think you got a consensus from the last CRA meeting to now as well, that we're all wanting to light it up. We're all wanting to get it right, whether it's the vagrancy or whether it's just the improve the development, just making it look better. So while that program's going and we're trying to get the evaluations with our city properties and parks, the things that we're doing at the community stakeholder meetings, trying to incentivize the SEPTED grants and the funding that's available for, let's call it a separate program where we're not necessarily evaluating and installing and ordering the lights for those city assets, but those different stakeholders that want that incentive or want that funding to go do fill in the blank project with, that we're not really on the project side of the house, we're just on the funding side of the house. But how much funding is in SEPTED in those grants that the community can come to and say, hey, Beulah Baptist Church wants to light up their parking lot, or that happens to be next door to Chester Pruitt. So while we're lighting up Chester Pruitt, how can we get on board with those kind of things?
Sure.
How much money do we have available for the private marketplace folks that want to go light up inside of the CRA district?
Sure. Let's try to see that up here. So the funding for the grant program is one pot of money for all of the grants. So all the ones, nuisance abatement, facade, development assistance, and SEPTED all come out of the same pot of money in the budget. I don't think I have that number right in front of me, but I believe it was
It's fine if you don't.
125 or so thousand of grant funding for this current fiscal year. And like I said, it's one pot of money for all the programs, and it's just first come, first serve. That program, we did roll out.
And is that 125 like including whatever improvements we do with Sound Park?
No, sir. So we had
that's
additional
a separate workflow,
yes,
right?
Yeah, we did actually have additional money for SEPTED improvements throughout the CRA that we're able to take the funding for any of this lighting, cameras, any of the other improvements throughout the vegetation and all that.
And that's where we're at with this current budget year that we're in.
Yes.
Do we have any projects, where are we at actuals wise through this as far as the 125? How many have already used it? How much money do we have left?
Sure.
That we need to try to get out to the community to help do all this that we're doing, and not just us trying to light up the different parts, but them as well. But what is a rough delta of what we budgeted for and how much it's expensed out of that 125?
Out of there, so we've awarded out the 44,000, but we have probably about another 40 or so, 30,000 maybe, 30 to 40 that's been approved, not yet reimbursed, but allocated. It's basically encumbered in there. So, then the remainder of another 50 or so is, probably, I'd say a rough estimate is around that 50 or so that's left in the pot, just waiting to be claimed.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Barry?
There's a lot of with grant money, I pontificate grants for SEPTED projects. You just have to go out and look, and it doesn't, I can find it for you with, just a few minutes. But the money is there. So, and other, ways of getting that to fund what we're talking about. It just takes a little bit. And you don't have to be a CRA person to be SEPTED.
Yes, absolutely correct. Yep.
Look at you, actually over there.
Yes.
64 hours.
Exactly. You just got to go through the state's program for it.
That's it.
Receive
64 hours.
Yes, ma'am.
And it looks good on a resume. It looks good on and you can do these things. I'm really glad that you're doing that. Ms. Burleson has stepped up to the bat and is doing this.
Yeah, and I don't want to speak on behalf, but I was, like I mentioned, I was talking to Chief Page about 2 weeks ago now, and he did have some ideas for one of their individual positions, over there potentially to go through, get the SEPTED certification to be able to do it citywide. So I think it was really we just had a few minutes to chat, so I didn't get into the details with him. But I think Chief has some ideas to be able to take this far and wide and citywide.
Yeah, we really needed that. Chester Pruitt.
Yeah, Chester Pruitt's in CRA, so we can do that one. Luckily, at least they can do that one.
She can do that one?
Yes, it is. It is on the list. So.
Just put in that one?
Okay.
Yep.
Yes.
Any more questions from anyone else? Mr. Mead, yeah.
The parking lot across from Magnolia Grill, I know we were in
Yes.
discussions on renewing the lease or not.
Yes.
Where is that?
Yeah, so I was actually just talking to Ashley earlier about that one this afternoon. So that lease did expire at the end of December. However, since then, we had a few people, a few of the property owners there that are involved with it, initially kind of reach out with some concerns about what was going to happen as far as control, maintenance, use of it. So we've been working trying to pull all of those property owners together to bring into one room, have one meeting and see, because what happened was, as at least a few months before expiration, we were kind of trying to see if people wanted to renew it or not. It had been going for 10 years, you know, there have been some complaints over the maintenance or some of the condition of it, and we wound up receiving formal letters from two of the property owners saying that they wanted to cancel the lease. They didn't want to renew, they wanted to just let it expire. So without 100%, we weren't able to just go forward and renew it. However, since then, Ashley's actually been working, trying to reach out to all of those property owners and try and pull a meeting together that we can get them engaged. It seems like we're close to being able to do that. Myself, Jeff, we've talked to, and Ashley and Tim and all on our side, we've all kind of talked about it, to look at maybe there's a way that we can do another extension, maybe a short term, give it another try, do a better job of the maintenance of the condition of the gravel and all that, and maybe look at a way that we partner with them and maybe make it a paid public parking lot, try that down there, that maybe we can generate a little bit of revenue that can be put back into the maintenance and upkeep of the parking lot, something, or maybe shared out to the property owners, to share the revenue. We're kind of open on it right now. That's why we want to pull in the property owners and see if they're willing. We've heard, or actually spoken to some of them, and we've heard that the couple that said no back in the fall may be interested in doing something if we kind of work together with a paid public partnership type deal. So don't know where it's going to wind up. I'm really hoping, we've been trying now for 3 months to pull them together, and they haven't been too interested, and so it kind of expired, we let it go, but if they're all willing to come back to the table, we would definitely be open to meeting and seeing if we can work some type of arrangement out.
Well, that parking lot's, it's aggregate rock, and
it's
the heavy rain had washed out.
Yeah.
We went, our public works guys went in there in late January, early February, and smoothed it out just because it hadn't been done at the end of it when it was still under lease terms with us. But long term, it's something.
It would have to, pay.
You gotta pave it or something,
something,
because it's gonna be weekly. It's been a weekly.
Just a maintenance nightmare for 10 years, so.
With the appetite of parking, while you're trying to get all those people in the room, the parcel owner with the landmark, if I don't know if they plan on doing anything or not with that property, but if they don't, if there's an appetite with staff and them to try to get them in the room as well to talk parking with that property. Again, I don't know what their plans are with that property long term or with the around the mound and the information that the state's. But while we're talking parking with all those other parcel owners, if staff is also having an appetite and seeking a consensus of finding different spots to find appetites for parking.
Yeah, we've been working with them, over the last couple of years now. Trying to see, they've had some plans for development of the site. Obviously, I think we've all seen the around the mound plans and the impacts of that property. But we've got their phone number, we've got their contact, and have been working with them. So I'd be more than happy to reach out, even if it's maybe a short-term deal or something.
That's why I brought it up, because I know y'all work with them closely,
for
and
sure.
not to talk about what their plans are with all that, but as y'all are talking about it, whether they're planning on doing it after the around the mound or right away, but if there is something that we can do softly to help, you mentioned, I know we're getting the wraps around the fence, which is a great concept, but if we can continue that type of
they've been great to
soft
work with.
impact while we figure out what we're all doing with that traffic management. Any follow-up questions on that?
For sure.
Anything?
No, that was great,
It's a great idea.
Mr. Allegretto?
I'm a little confused. I thought when we spoke before, it seemed like there were less property owners. Okay, so the city used to lease that land?
Yes, they were individual, 5 or 6 individual property owners, properties there.
And we're talking right behind,
Coasters,
Behind
Highway
Ballet
School.
okay.
Academy.
Yeah, that gravel.
Okay.
Yeah, across from Magnolia Grove.
Okay.
Yeah, and we had around 3 or so that
We
said,
leased it for like $1 a year or something.
Yeah.
And then we provided them all the maintenance and everything like like that. It's just been ongoing.
I didn't realize there were so many.
Yeah, it's,
Different
there were little
parties
slivers,
involved,
each his own.
Five lots, 4 owners.
That's right, yeah.
Jeez.
Well, and the key is too, for the city's side, from our standpoint too, to realize, to see, number one, how many parking spots are there and how many are used by the employees, or is it actually open to the public, and that's what we're trying to, you know,
Yes.
if it's 100% used by the business employees, it's not really public parking. If it's wide open for public parking, then it's a different story. So that's some things we need to
Yes.
register.
Landing. Any updates on the landing? Where we are, just timeline and just
Sure,
updates on
yeah, I think so.
Yeah, the phase 2 opens up on the 28th, so 2 weeks from Thursday for phase 2. We've gotten some good questions and stuff through our purchasing department, so there's people interested in it.
And that phase 2 solicitation opens up on the 28th? Just
Correct.
the bid.
Yep, and that would be, phase 2 consists of the stage, we're on a time frame with, we've got a $500,000 grant that's tied to the stage itself. And we also included in stage, phase 2 was the theater type amphitheater seating that stair steps down towards the stage. But it will that will tie into the actual boardwalk that's being poured right now.
Is that why we're not having concerts in June, maybe, or is that going to impact the concerts?
We haven't
the
had
landing,
concerts in
or-
June. We've done a scale out of 4 to 5 in May, and then we do all of September and October when it's a little bit cooler. We're having 14 this year, which is more than we've ever had.
But as far as we're able to do all this redevelopment and the concerts and all that? it's awesome.
We're going to do them on the bowl side over there, and we did them like
Awesome.
this
Awesome.
past fall.
I know we didn't bring up either, but also talking parking is the old Venture Hive Science Center pad.
Yeah, so we got the design plans to do the Adventure Hive for golf cart parking. The design plans are done, so we'll get that paved, curbed out.
Nice.
A few landscaping islands in there, and then also the Bob Norman that lives next to the landing. He was talking to, he's back in town this week. He had talked to his sister, but he said he was either going to split the property in half, didn't get support, or not. So either way, it's looking promising for us, and we'll bring that forward back to council and we'll get an agreement with them.
I'm excited about that.
I think that's where my confusion was.
Yeah.
I was thinking about those as the same place.
Gotcha. Any more questions?
I'm very glad to see the Venture Hive building actually being used for something productive.
Yes.
It'll
I'm not
actually
being sarcastic.
Well, you know, the interesting thing about that is I think on the original plans, it just showed a parking lot, and there's about 8 spots or something.
No, they kept it out of the original plans.
Yeah.
When I went to meet with the architects, they were told to keep it out of the original plans.
So they, rather than having 8 or so regular parking, we'll get about 24, 26
That's
golf
great.
cart parking.
Oh, that's great.
And it'll look,
Yeah, it's gonna look great.
Thank you.
That is awesome. Bikes are...
e-bikes
e-bikes.
on display at 5:30 today.
Okay.
They're coming today at 5:30 to show them off. And you guys can test drive them.
All right. Has there been an appetite for getting any CRA details for getting
Yes.
that while we wait on the full-time officer getting trained and,
Yes.
and hired?
Yes, yeah, I know we've got the schedule, the kind of dates, times of the week with PD. We've worked with Sergeant Pettis and Lieutenant Ross and some of them over there with Chief Beige to get those. I know we've got the structure put in place, we've got the funds transferred to the appropriate accounts, all that back-end stuff, the uninteresting stuff all taken care of. I don't know when the first one will begin, but I do know that Chief has been working on getting it all wrapped up. Everything's done, I know, from the CRA side, from the finance side, I believe. They just probably got to get their sign-up list going and get them happening. But yeah, it's going to be we'll be starting out with 3 days a week, 4 hours a day.
A good opportunity too for a lot of those officers that rely on details.
Yes, absolutely. So yes, that should be starting
This is something that
anytime.
Yeah. Mr. Bear.
Speaking about bikes, are there going to be bike racks where people can lock their bikes that are not e-bikes?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, good, because they've been asking me about that.
Yes.
Yeah, down at
downtown?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, we actually, rather than just the old style bike racks, you know, we've seen, Chris has too, and myself, just from different communities, there's some pretty cool little bike
Yeah.
racks that look like a bike, you tie it to that. so
Yeah, yes, that's what they were showing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yes.
good.
Okay,
Also, one more question.
all right.
Are you going to be putting a cover over the band, the stage there?
Yes.
Uh,
It's a 36-foot, it's from the edge of the cylinder where the guts of the stage is. It's 36 feet to the front of the stage. It kind of looks like a shell type deal.
I was talking to Mr. Garvey, I think he's one of the engineers or whatever, and I encouraged him to go out to the Dugal Pavilion in Destin because they had, what do you call it? A cover.
Yeah, a bad shell.
And then a few years ago, we had a storm come through and so, and the mayor of Destin says, yeah, come on out there and talk to me too, I'll tell you about some of that.
Yeah, I mean, some of the good, it'll be one of a kind, the stage we have there, but the T-dock is being completely replaced. We in the actual bid process, it was all the runners in the dock, but by the time over the 3 or 4, 5, 6 years the landing was, the pilings are bad, so we're replacing the whole T-dock, so that'll be all brand new. And we're going to replace the handrails and the top rails on the east side with the Trex type. So everything will be new out there.
Good.
With our current design, what we're doing now, is there any future with our submerged land lease opportunity to continue to enhance, try to getting some of our larger boats? I'm not the boat person, other people are, but getting more slips and things like that for the folks that are just transient through the Great Loop,
Yeah,
or just
we've
folks
had
that
some
we're trying to get
discussions
to our
and,
landing.
we've had some discussions in trying to extend that even to connect the two, like mooring field, but even in Travis and I, we talked about doing where the dock park to pay, we can go online through an app and reserve a spot, and you know you gotta have a spot when you get there and you can plug in, so, and we will do that at the landing.
Awesome.
So, Apalachicola does it.
Dock wall.
Yeah, but the sheriff's department, police department, excuse me, monitors it.
They
And if
do
we
now.
don't,
Right.
I'm talking about Apalachicola.
Oh, yeah.
It's very, very simple, it works. My point is, I'm hoping that right now we're starting to put a plan in place for enforcement of the docks and the mooring fields, because before the construction, everybody that would interact virtually, I don't know if it's everybody, would interact with me would say, I'm not comfortable going to the dock because of the vagrants, if you will, that are living on the inoperative sailboats that are coming in on their dinghies. And so it's deterring the public from being there because, you know, the masses aren't there. So it's so either way, I'm hoping that we have law enforcement and a plan in place when we do open literally the gates for the docks to be used, that they can be used by the residents to come downtown and enjoy it.
We got that police boat now too, right? It's coming. Yeah.
Fireboat.
Like next year,
Yeah.
fireboat, police boat.
The actual dock is getting raised up about 2 feet. The seawall the level is about probably 2 feet taller than it was. So it's significantly higher than the old boardwalk at the landing, which is nice. The dock's got to be raised and then slow down.
I'm assuming you've heard similar things.
Yes. We ran over a program. I believe our PD controls it right now, but there's really, nobody knows that you need, when you go to the dock, that you need to request permission. It's a free-for-all, nobody controls it, but, you know, we went through a program and an app that I think when the dock gets done will be a good setup, and then you can probably take the CRA officer or the community policing officer downtown and have him kind of be on the lookout on that thing, kind of rolling through there once or twice a day, seeing what slips are filled and what are not. And, you know, the second you go down there and start running those guys off that are not supposed to be there, they'll go move somewhere else. Perfect example is Soundside Park right now. I've been seeing a guy living over there for, I don't know, 4 or 5 months. The second those benches came out the gazebo, he only lasted about 2 weeks and he's gone. So don't know where he moved down to, but, you know, it's whack-a-mole. You knock them out of there, they're gonna pop up somewhere else. So,
That would be a really nice program too, because I do believe, I had heard before that the process was, you call and leave a message, like a voicemail with the police department, and maybe somebody knows that you're going there, like, and that's not a knock on cheap page like that. I think that's existed for a long time, and we just haven't had any organization there, and obviously the docks have been in disrepair and disarray for a while, so that'd be a really nice program.
Now's our chance.
I appreciate you bringing that up. There's a lot of good technology out there that other cities are doing. We can do. Good stuff, good questions. Anyone else? Mr. Rossetti, really appreciate the update and the presentation.
For sure. I really appreciate your time and your support on all of this. We definitely got some good ideas, whether it's looking at some of the lighting analysis and that process, and then expanding it to the other parks outside there, and the cameras and everything else that we talked about. And that's definitely received, and I will be discussing it all with Elisa to try and definitely get some of these things done as quickly as possible. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Barnes, anything on your end that you need? You good?
We've got some moves, picking up some pieces if you guys are.
Okay, all right.
It's not
Mr. Elliott?
When's our next CRA meeting?
That's a good question.
It is.
I don't.
April 16th?
It says
Pull up the
April.
calendar.
So the April 16th is the community stakeholders meeting down at Gulfview. We have been holding these meetings quarterly or so over this last
I
year.
think he's talking about this.
Yeah, man.
Right, so yeah, that's,
June the 11th.
it says June 11th right now.
All right. Good stuff.
I know that, a couple of years back, Mr. Schmidt and I and others were certainly very adamant that we wanted to have more than, one CRA meeting a year where we just got an annual report and signed off and said, okay, because obviously these things can be very impactful, and I think we've seen some of the results of that, certainly through your work and Ms. Burleson, Mr. Peters and others, but it's just important that we just keep this momentum going and following up, so
For sure.
thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, no, it's been good to see this past year too, those rhythms or those quarterly rhythms, so thanks for making that a priority as well, Mr. Allegretto. Mr. Berry, what you got?
Yep, I'm good, thank you, thank you.
Hopefully we'll have some cameras in place, lighting, maybe a dock plan for the downtown landing that will hopefully be open by then. Some of those things, so I look forward to June 11th.
Yeah, I should have said this earlier, but on phase 2, where the stage and the theater seating type is, we're going to sod and open up the pocket beach type stuff on the left side. So just doesn't look like a construction site for another year, but the stage will take obviously a little bit of time, but we're going to try to get some of the outer places open.
Nice. Good stuff. Mr. Smith?
Yeah, I think the SEPTED program is probably one of the best things that I have seen that staff has brought to council. And, I don't, you're going to hear me say this, it's not coming fast enough. Not because I don't believe you guys are doing your job, it's just because it's such a good program and we want it now. You know what I mean? So, whatever we can do to help facilitate and, help get you guys understand that it is a very high priority for us, and then whatever else we need to do to maybe, if there's some red tape that we need to move around that we have authority over, bring that to us, because, this is fantastic stuff that the community is going to see an instant impact on, and ultimately I think that's what we're up here to do, is give the community an impact, in a timely manner. Whose time that is, it depends on who you ask. I'm always going to say right now.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it for sure. Yeah, we'll definitely keep that in mind. If there's anything that comes up that use your guys' assistance with getting through the process, because it's enjoyable seeing this stuff come through. I'll say for us, it can get frustrating because everything just seems to take longer, whether it's buying anything. It seems like it's put an order in, you wait. Some of this is just comes down to time and staffing. Lisa trying to kind of manage it all on her own, but yeah, I definitely appreciate it, and if she does as well.
Mr. Cobb, anything on your end? You good?
Nothing for me.
All right, well, Mr. Peters, I know a lot of this conversation is whether it's inefficiencies or things like that, or us wanting projects now. We appreciate it. I know y'all are getting after it every single day, and thank y'all for all these visions that we're all wanting to help carry out. Y'all are carrying it out, and if there's anything we can do, as always, we'll always continue to communicate. Let's try to execute as much as we can as possible. So thank y'all. If there's nothing else, meeting adjourned.
Thank you.